Today, we're talking about something most businesses are getting wrong right now. Everything is chasing automation, AI, and speed, but customers are craving something different. They want authentic connection. Now, our guest today, Rick Elmore, built an entire company around that idea. Rick is the founder of Simply Noted, a platform that helps businesses send real handwritten notes at scale, blending technology with personal touch most companies have lost. Rick, I welcome you to the show. This is really interesting. I like this topic because I see so many companies, falling, away from, authenticness when it comes to humanity and feeling like you're being helped, and you're being noticed by an actual human. Now, Rick, let's start with something very, it's something every business owner is feeling right now. Consumers are overwhelmed. They get hundreds of emails, they get ads, they get messages and automated responses every day. But Rick, why do you think businesses are struggling so much right now to, actually connect with their customers?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. I think in the year 2026, we've gone through the internet boom. Now we're going through the AI boom. Everyone's just completely inundated. The last time that I actually did this research, the average office worker receives 157 emails a day. Um, you're getting, like you said earlier, you're getting retargeted all the time on ads. You're on social. Every six posts you see, two of them are actually ads. They just look like user-generated content. We're just drowning in digital noise. And, what is old is new again. Most people don't really pay attention to this, but the mailbox is completely empty. And people are craving something personal. People are craving something human. Everything is automated nowadays. It doesn't matter if it's a text message, doesn't matter if it's an email, social media post. We're just completely drowning in all this digital noise. And like I said earlier, what is old is new again. What people are going back to is the good old-fashioned handwritten note, something that's physical, something that's tactile, something they can actually feel. And that's what Simply Note is doing. Simply Noted has been around for 8 years. We help companies integrate, automate, and scale genuine handwritten mail. We've actually had to engineer and build our own handwriting robot. It has 9 patents. We're the largest provider of this service in the United States. We have 220 custom-built handwriting robots, and we're really helping businesses keep a personal, humanized, and I'll say humanized just because it looks and feels like it was written by a person,
Yeah.
humanized personal touch in their business. And businesses are using us in multiple ways, but usually it's either just saying thank you and building the relationship, but also acquiring new clients because the open rate's so high. The open rate for a handwritten envelope is 99%. It's staggering when you compare it to all these other marketing channels.
Yeah. What changed in customer behavior in the last 10 years?
I think people are, I call it like goldfish syndrome. People are just like numbing out everything. It's really hard to keep people to pay attention just because there's 900 competitors. I mean, you think of a real estate agent, there's thousands of real estate agencies just in your own city. You think of consumer brands, you think of your clothing companies. I mean, there's just so many people
Yeah.
to choose from. It's really hard to keep people engaged and involved and loyal just because there's so many options. And most companies compete on price. And when you compete on building loyalty and building relationships, it's a lot harder to lose that client versus when
Yeah.
you're like, oh, you got to have a new product, you got to have a new promo, you got to have a new deal to keep them coming back. Versus, hey, why don't you just have a good product and service and then build that relationship and see what happens. And
Yeah.
those are our best clients. The ones who've been with us for years, or seriously like 5+ years, that the money that we just count on coming every single day are pet insurance brands sending a pet birthday card, to a pet owner, something that's like personal and makes them feel appreciated. Or we have a hat brand. It's a luxury hat brand. After they spend a certain amount of money on their first purchase, they'll send them a thank you note, and they've been doing it for years. And it's those types of campaigns that you see your business grow over time, versus we all do it. We all trying to grow a business. You want to spend money in ads, you need money to come in the next month to make sure that money goes back into ads. But when you're investing in relationships, that comes over time and you see your business grow by and it compounds.
Hmm. That's so true. Now, why do digital marketing methods lose their impact over time, do you think?
I think it's just too easy. If it's easy, everyone's going to do it. When it's hard, people aren't going to do it. That's why people don't send handwritten mail. It takes time to sit down and do it. People don't have time. And even to put together a mailing campaign, there's a lot of thought that has to go into it. There's design, there's copy, there's address verification, there's sequencing, there's timing. Adding attribution to mail that takes usually a marketing mind to how to track it. And we help companies do all this, but it just takes a different level of understanding of marketing and CX to really leverage a tool like this versus anybody. I mean, AI on Meta's AI ads are basically like two-click buttons and it's done for you. They'll literally do the design for you, the ad for you, the copy for you. They'll set the funnel for you. They're
Yeah.
making it too easy. And when it's easy, that's where people are going to flood to because there's no barrier of entry. When
Yes.
there's a little bit of a friction point, that's usually where you're going to see a little bit more, I would say, like gold. You'll find more gold there because less people are willing to put in the effort there. So
Right.
I just think digital has become too easy. I remember when I started this business like almost 10 years ago, and like just getting like an email, like three email sequence, that was still kind of like a cool thing to do. Like
Yeah.
now, like they're just ignored. They're just ignored. And yeah, going back to something that's old school that has like a nostalgic feeling to it. Like when you get a handwritten envelope, you're like, oh, this is cool. Like, what is it? Like you're intrigued to open
Mhm.
it. And if you feel like someone sent it to you, it's going to, like most people, I'll give you an example. I went to my CPA's office here in Scottsdale, Arizona a few weeks ago. And I walked into the office, and right there, like on the desk in his waiting room, was a handwritten note that actually my company did. So somebody sent him a handwritten note from my company, and he thought that they sent it. But I picked it up. I was like, I know that paper, I know that handwriting style. Like that's our product. So people hold on to it. And how
Yeah.
often can you say that about an email or a digital ad? They're not going to print out an email and post it on their refrigerator. Like people hold on to something that means something, and a handwritten note is something that means something.
Oh, for sure. So really what you're saying is that technology made communication faster, but it also makes it less meaningful. And it's the part where when it's more meaningful, it has much more of a positive effect in business.
You said it perfectly.
Now, Rick, most companies are chasing attention. They're, posting on social media, they're running ads, sending emails, but many business owners say, I'm doing it all. I'm doing all the marketing, but it's not converting. And I hear that all the time from so many people. Why do so many businesses struggle to turn attention into real relationships and real revenue?
I think it's the spray and pay or spray and pray aspect that most marketers have. Good marketing comes through, I would say, good understanding of who your ICP is, your ideal client profile. I mean, I fall, I fail at this sometimes too. I'll pull a big list and I just like to market to them and see like what happens, but like you're not going to have the best success rates there.
Right.
Which most businesses don't realize. You have a gold mine under your nose, and a gold mine is your past client list, and then people who've signed up to like a newsletter, signed up to your website, people you know.
Yeah.
Those people have a much higher chance of converting than someone completely cold off the street. Someone cold off the street, there's going to take a lot. It's a bigger lift. You have to educate
Yes.
them, you have to meet with them. So sitting there and taking the time to understand, like we've been in business for about 8 years. We have a list of about 140,000 people who've signed up to our website. That list will create more value or more money for us than just running a Google Ads campaign. Google Ads
Right.
kind of helps people keep coming in, but it's that list that we keep nurturing and keep them coming back that will continue to grow our business. So I think people need to stop worrying about the next client and focus on the clients that they have and try to build that relationship and try to educate them, provide value.
Hmm.
Because you think of all these content creators, they're providing so much value, the ones that do it right. You think of Alex Ramosi, the guy's all over online, but he's giving you 100 times the value before he asks you for something. Like he's giving everything away for free, right? So people trust that. And then when they ask for something, they're like, oh, I trust this guy. He's giving me so much value. If he's
Yeah.
going to ask me to pay for something, it has to be great. So I'm going to buy it. So
Right.
you should have that same mindset to your own client list. Like, we're a handwritten direct mail company. It's like, hey, here's how, we teach people how to get mailing addresses off of email addresses. We teach them how to verify mailing addresses, through the NCOA. We teach them how to do better designs. We teach them how to do better copy. So it's like all this education about something that they're interested in. If you give it to them for free, when you ask them to pay for something, they're much more likely to do it.
Right. Oh, I agree with you. Now, what mistake do you see businesses make when they're trying to reach customers?
Um, Talking way too much. I try to tell this, I do it sometimes too, but it's like, you have two ears and one mouth for a reason. Let your customer talk and they're going to tell you exactly what they want you to do for them.
Yeah.
And in the early days, we worked with anybody that would give us money because we're a self-funded business, and that we've had to adjust that as we scaled our business. But, ask your customer one question and let them talk. And I think most people don't do that. And it's like sales 101. But if you can master that, listen more than you talk, the customer's going to tell you exactly how to sell to them. Then it's up to you to ingest that and then sell to them the way that they want to be sold.
Right. I agree. I agree. Now, what does effective follow-up actually look like to you?
Oh, I can go down. We just built some like AI SDR agents that are kind of changing the way that we follow up. So I don't know if you're paying attention to like the whole AI world, but like all these like Codex, OpenClaw, Claude Code are now like giving you the ability to run AI agents that do a lot of these like manual tasks for you that aren't just automation based like they were in the past. But I
Hmm.
think follow up is personalized. It can't be sequential anymore. And you got to figure out what makes the most sense in your business and for your clients to personalize the follow up as much as possible. It can't just be call the person and then enroll them in a sequence and then hope to God they respond and book a meeting. That doesn't work anymore. That
Yeah.
worked 10 years ago.
Hmm.
Now it's, depending on what type of sales, we do a lot of B2B sales, so we have higher ticket volumes. So it just takes a little bit more trust, a little bit more time to convert people.
Right.
So after a meeting, we have an AI that takes the transcript of the meeting and then creates a thank you card, an automated thank you card through our system and sends it to them immediately. So they're going to get a handwritten note from the sales rep within 3 days. So number
Wow.
one, like we're showing off our technology, right? Like,
Yeah.
hey, by the way, we just automated this. But
Yeah.
number two, like they're receiving a thank you card, and most people aren't sending something like that. So
Right.
you just don't want to be like everybody else. You got to stand out and you got to do things differently. And that's up to you. I played sports growing up, so I got used to studying my competition for over a decade. So
Hmm.
like be a detective. Go to your competitors, sign up to their website, and see how they follow up with you, right?
Right.
Go to your biggest competitors and reverse engineer what they're doing because they're way bigger than you. They're obviously doing something you're not doing.
Right.
And I call it a healthy obsession, but you have to be so driven and like focused on like your own recipe because your business, your job, your business is your own recipe, but it's up to you to put the ingredients together to make sure it's the best tasting cake or whatever you're making.
Right.
So, but there's a lot of ways to do that. There's a million ways to skin the cat. But yeah, it's just being different. How are you being different? How are you not, blending in with the crowd? And nobody can tell you that besides you. And that's your job to figure it out.
Yes, I agree. I agree. So, you use, famously you use like handwritten notes for for outreach to build, people's businesses, and you saw a huge response, from it. What did that teach you about how people actually respond to communication?
I'll give you an example. So the reason I started this business was I was doing my MBA in 2017, and I had a marketing professor who said handwritten mail had a 99% open rate. I was in sales at the time. And
Hmm.
I thought, man, that's like a no-brainer, but nobody has the time to do it. So,
Yeah.
very long story short, I got a robot from China and I got it together and I wrote 500 handwritten notes. Took me over a month. Like literally, it was horribly slow.
Hmm.
I had my parents, a babysitter, people help me do it while I was at my job just to like keep the machine running.
Yeah.
And I remember sending them out, and my quota was $50,000 a month when I was in this sales job. I sent out 500. I had about 30, 30 or more doctors call me back, and these doctors were like, I don't want to say they're in tears, but they're just like laughing. They're like, Rick, this is cool. Thanks for the handwritten note. So like people I've called on that would always ignore me, never respond to me, now are having like their guard is down, their wall is down. They're calling me saying, "Hey, thank you for the letter. Like nobody does this.
Right.
Like let's set up the call." So I looked at what I was doing, what wasn't working, what everybody's trained to do. Everyone's trained to do is call, email, go knock on a door, right? I decided to do something different because I was doing my MBA. I heard somebody talk about something that stood out to me, and then I went and tested it and proved that it worked. That was the genesis of Simply Noted.
Right.
So it's just really important, again, to go back to what we were talking about, is do something different. Um, Apple didn't become Apple because they were Microsoft.
Yeah.
Like you got to be different. You got to think different, and it's up to you to figure out what that different is.
I like that. That is brilliant. Now, Rick, your company focuses on handwritten communication. Sometimes that feels like almost old-fashioned today, but in many ways, it's becoming more powerful than ever. Why does something as simple as a handwritten note make such a big difference in business relationships?
Because it's rare. The average person receives less than 5 handwritten notes a year, and I would argue it's less than that. So when you get something like that, you automatically are going to look at it
Hmm.
and number one, wonder, like, who's sending me this? Right?
Yeah.
This is rare. No one does this. And then you're going to appreciate it that they took the time to do it differently,
Right.
versus the cheap, easy, automated, busy email in my inbox that's already stressing me out, right? Everybody, when they go to their mailbox, right, what do you do when you go to your mailbox? You go through everything and you put the important stuff to the side, right? Your follow-up just became the important stuff to the side, right? Once they get through all the bills, the postcards, the newspaper, whatever's in there, then they go and like, ooh, now it's time to go through the good stuff. Like your follow-up just became the good stuff. Think
Yeah.
about that. You can
Hmm.
transition from the annoyance of the ask in the inbox or the
Yeah.
annoyance of the spam on the cell phone. That's
Right.
my eight. Well, he was six there. But you're transferring how you're standing out, right?
Yeah.
Email annoying, phone call annoying, text message annoying, social annoying. Ooh, now I'm the important stuff in the mailbox. Like think
Yeah.
about that. If that's not like flipping a switch, like I don't know how else to make it flip. But it's up to you to figure out how to do that in your business.
Right. Oh, 100%. Now, what happens psychologically when someone receives a handwritten note?
I think you're planting a seed in their brain that it can't be planted any other way. You're going to be that person who sent them a handwritten note versus
Mhm.
that rep who sent them an email. You
Yeah.
just blend. You just get pushed to. You don't even get. I'm going through my emails. I don't even look at it. I mean, like, oh, it's sale, 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 garbage, garbage. Like, oh, I need to look at that, right?
Yeah.
Usually the ones I need to look at, like I still won't remember they sent me that email 2 days later. But
Right.
when you're sending that handwritten note, they're gonna remember that 6 months later. They're like, oh, you're that guy who started that conversation. Oh, you're that guy when I paid that invoice, sent me a thank you note. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know like how else to like make it make sense. It's just like it literally plants a seed that now puts you in a part of their brain of respect. They like you a little bit differently than if you sold them a different way, if that makes sense.
No, it definitely makes sense. So, why do people trust it more than digital communication?
I think it's just perception's reality. So,
Hmm.
if someone perceives that you sat down and took the time, and that's part of the reason why we had to build our own handwriting robots. These
Yeah.
old pen plotter robots, they just write like robots. And
Yeah.
we knew if we were going to scale a company, the product had to be really good. So we were going to have to control it. So we don't use fonts. We use like algorithmic, like handwriting styles, not fonts.
Hmm.
So I think it goes to perception's reality. So when you send an email, they think that was cheap and fast and lazy or automated. When you send a handwritten note, 99% of people aren't going to be like, oh, you simply noted. They're going to think that you sat down and did it. And they're
Right.
going to perceive you as somebody who is different, somebody who is a little bit more serious, a little bit more professional, cares a little bit more.
Yeah.
And all those feelings are going to be felt when they open that letter. And
Right.
again, selling, people will forget what you say, right? But they'll always remember how you made them feel, right?
Yeah.
And a handwritten note is a way to, um, I would say, capture that feeling at scale. We help people do that feeling at scale because our robots can scale it, I guess.
Hmm. Now, where should businesses use this strategy, like sales, retention, referrals?
Um, so I would say two use cases like customer relationship building, so CX. We
Mhm.
actually founded this business on like we're going to be the thank you card company. But like unfortunately, after like 3 or 4 years of pounding our head into that wall, companies don't have a CX budget. Like
Right.
companies have a marketing budget. So
Yep.
we still do have a good portion of our business who uses us for thank yous. But some of our bigger businesses use us for client acquisition just because the open rate's so high, and you're still getting that feeling of like this person's selling me differently versus
Yeah.
like the cold call, right? So it'd either be client acquisition or client retention. So like direct mail, like send a lot, usually these higher ticket item type of services like home service, auto, real estate, solar, political nonprofit, financial services, right? Like these relationship driven, higher ticket price items, like the direct mail route makes sense. But then
Yeah.
any business, it makes sense to send a thank you card. We have 30 million businesses in the United States. I think all 30 million should be using us. It doesn't make sense. Someone pays an invoice. If they
Hmm.
don't pay that invoice, you don't have a job. You don't have a paycheck. You can't pay your bills. So you should say thank you to that person. That's how I
Right.
personally feel. But anyways, yeah, it's either client retention or client acquisition.
So basically, so in a world that's becoming more automated, the business, wins are often the ones that feel more human, basically.
Mhm. I think
Now,
so. I think it's people are gonna have in order to stand out in the AI world, because AI is gonna come like a tsunami. The people who are going to be able to ride that wave are the ones who are ready to implement AI. So like you're going full charge, or you own your relationships where people, I don't care what happens, I'm sticking with this company because of my relationship with that company. And
exactly.
that still happens. And that's going to happen at least for my generation going forward. My
Yes.
kids, maybe not, right? My kids are 6 and 8.
Hmm.
But my generation for the next 30 years, relationships are still going to be incredibly important in business.
Right. Now, your journey is also really interesting. You went from playing football to working in sales and eventually building your own, company. What lessons from sports carried over to entrepreneurship?
Everything. I owe my life to sports. I had my childhood trauma when I was 7. My father passed away, and I had
Yes.
all this pent up anger. I just, kids don't know how to process their emotions. So, but my mom, I'm incredibly thankful for my mom and now my stepdad. They did a phenomenal job raising us. They kept us busy, kept us in sports, played all the sports, basketball, football, uh, baseball a little bit, volleyball. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'5", so I just kind of gravitated towards it. But I fell in love with football. I always joke it was because I could hit somebody and not get in trouble, kind of just let out that physical like anger that I had. But yeah, it taught me perseverance. It taught me work ethic, working with a team, basically all these interpersonal transferable skills that most people don't get to start to work on until their first job. I started working on that at 8 years old. So I had a
Mhm.
massive advantage when I got done with football, because I had, 10 years of competing at a very high level of college in the NFL. And then where most athletes go wrong is that they don't take what they've already learned and transfer it. They're used to being told what to do, show up here, execute this play, and living off their athletic ability
Yeah.
versus sitting down and like reverse engineering like their athletic career. Like, hey, what made me successful were a bunch of things, not just being an athlete. And then taking all those things and applying it to their corporate career. And that's all I did.
Yeah.
I was a top one or top five or top 1% or top five sales rep. I wasn't because I was good at sales. It's because I just took everything that made me good as an athlete to sales. I worked harder
Right.
than everybody. I showed up. I studied harder. I studied my competitors. Everything I've already been doing, right?
Right.
Um, and then I saw where my life was going with corporate. I didn't want to travel the country. I was just starting to have children.
Yeah.
I wanted to be home. I wanted to try to be an entrepreneur, and that's why I started my business. And then I started a robotics, software, and industrial automation business. There's no reason I should have started this, but I just again took everything that made me successful as an athlete to this. Relentless drive, overcoming every obstacle doesn't matter. I've made every mistake possible, but you just make sure that you don't mess up so bad that you tank your business. So you kind of have a
Yeah,
little bit of like a little bit of a, you just make sure you don't make too big of mistakes. But I just
right.
woke up every day and just tackled a new problem. That's, my wife always jokes, my superhero skill is I just wake up like with an attitude like today could be the day. And no matter how bad yesterday was, that's the secret, everybody. If you can master that, doesn't matter what you go through, you grow through what you go through.
Yeah,
And if you can just wake up the next day and not allow how yesterday went to affect today and have enthusiasm for the day, that is what's going to make you win. And I think that's what I've become really good at.
I love it. Now, Rick, let's make this practical for people that are listening right now. If someone is a business owner, a coach, consultant, or entrepreneur, and they're trying to grow their brand and build their relationships and attract more customers, what are the three simple things a business could do to start this week, actually, to start out in a crowded market?
Um, you know, Three things. Let me think about this. I've never been somebody to worry about competition, because I think in order to be successful at running a business, you got to be good at something. I was good at sales and marketing. Like I was good at finding clients. If you're going to start a business, just make sure that if you're starting something, you're doing it for the right reasons. You're not doing it because you're sick of working for somebody. You want to be your own boss. You think you're going to make all this money. Make sure you're starting something because you have a good product or a good service and you're really good at that product or service.
Right,
And if you can do that, you're going to start like off on the right foot. If you're not going to start there, like good luck. But
right.
I think in order to stay competitive, is you got to manage risk early on. You got to be
Mhm.
able to find a way to distribute your service, so become good at sales or marketing, and then make sure that those first customers have a great experience.
Yeah,
If you, you know, if you're getting started and everybody hates your product and hates your service, like it's going to be really hard. I remember when we got started, we did anything and everything. I mean, we used to be like a storage facility. People would send us like shoes and like we'd put a note in a box and then like take it to the post office for them. Like we did anything and everything to make sure that they had a great service
yeah,
or experience. So then they would leave us a good review. So you
right,
just got to make sure early on, you know what you're doing, you're good at it. And then those first clients, they have a great experience. So then they tell their friends and they're willing to leave a good review. But I
right.
think building a business is something that evolves like every month, every year. And a $0 to $10,000 a month business is completely different than a $200,000 a month business, and it's completely different than a $500,000 a month business. But you know, just understand that at some point you're going to have to get out of your business, not
Yeah,
being the owner operator and doing everything, and then you're going to have to be working on your business and trusting people to deliver your product and service for you. That's a
yeah,
big hurdle. We I kind of got out of that a couple years ago, but I still see myself like poking my head back in there, and I got to like rip myself out. Like, no, no, like even if like I think I can do a better job, like I got to let them do it because like this business has to run without me. Like
right,
if it's not operating right, it's because I'm not doing something right to help them operate at the highest
right.
like capacity. So I don't know. Yeah, I would say I would just obsess about customer experience early on, get good reviews, ask for testimonials, own the relationship, and I would master distribution and getting people to help you scale your business. If you go to any of these gurus, and I've been to a lot of these meetings, all they preach is systems. Like you're gonna go pay $10,000 for a course over a weekend. They're just gonna talk to you about systems.
Right.
Uh, so get really good at building SOPs, standard operating procedures, and how you do that is you master it, you make sure it works, and then you build an SOP, and then you go find someone, train them to do it, and then move on to the next thing.
Right.
Um, yeah, so I mean, I don't know. There's lots. I love talking about this stuff. I could talk about it forever because building a business is so much fun.
Yeah,
And
it
it's
really,
hard. It's not always fun, but it's hard.
yeah, I agree. I agree totally. Now, Rick, my final question is if a business owner is listening right now and feels like they're working really hard, but they're not breaking through, like what's the one shift in thinking that could actually change everything for them?
It's analysis paralysis. We all get there, we all get stuck. Um, But when I get stuck, it's usually because I'm stressed out. Something's not working, and I just keep beating my head into the wall trying to force it to work. And what I've learned, I just turned 38, and for me, what's really important for me to keep my business moving forward is managing my stress and being able to step away from a problem so I can actually look at it and not be trapped in it. So
Mhm.
I like to go for a run. I like doing ice bath. I go lift heavy, go ride my bike, something to clear my mind. And
Yeah,
then oftentimes I'm still thinking about the problem when I'm doing that, but I'm away from it. I'm not trapped in it. But
right.
you can't solve problems when you feel the anxiety and you're in it and you're stressed out. You got to be able to pause, take some deep breaths, meditate, get your heart rate down, get your stress down, get your cortisol down, and then come back to it and have time to actually analyze it and not try to feel like you got to fix it while you're in it. And most people put so much pressure on themselves to fix it now and think they got to get it fixed now, but it may take weeks or months to fix this problem. But that's
Right,
up to you to figure that out. And then if you need help, you got to go find people to help you solve that problem.
right.
But usually why people feel that is because they're letting too many things pile up and they're not taking action on anything. So like action need or anxiety needs action. Like if you're
Yeah,
feeling stressed, it's because you have stuff that you're not taking care of. And all these things are compounding and it's feeling overwhelming. So I like to do a brain dump, at those times. I did this course. I've done a lot of courses, and this was like one of the coolest things I've ever done. I remember I was like, this is so simple, it's so like dumb, but it's so effective. But like if you're super stressed out, you sit there, you do a brain dump exercise, and you just write everything out that's stressing you out. Everything,
yeah,
everything. It doesn't matter. It can be relationship, it can be business, it can be financial. Write it
yeah,
out, step away for an hour, then come back to it, and then make a list from like easiest to hardest. Easiest
right.
thing I can solve right now to the hardest thing I can solve. And then what you do is you just start solving the easy things. And what you do is you build momentum and you get like the endorphins and like the
Yeah,
good feeling, like, hey, I'm actually getting things done. And then your brain starts to feel good. And before you know it, like you checked off 10 things, right? And then you feel that anxiety coming down, you feel the excitement, and it's different. So I don't know. I like talking about this stuff because I think entrepreneurship, building a business is one of the best things in the world. It's the most self-growth things you can do because you
yeah.
have to grow as a person before you grow as a business.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Now
Hmm.
tell us a little about your products and services that you offer.
Yeah, so we all we do is I don't know if this is a video podcast, but we send handwritten letters that look like this. Real 5x7 A7 envelope with a forever stamp on it, pen written envelope, pen written card. I don't want to get too geeky, but we have a lot of technology built into it. We can use APIs, webhooks, Zapier, Make, all these different software integrations to automate it. We track mail to the mailbox, so it's trackable just like email. We track QR code scans, so just like an email, when someone clicks a link within an email, you can track that. We track that through a QR code scan. We can help companies automate follow-ups. So if someone scans the QR code on that card, we actually can notify you, hey, John Smith scanned the QR code, call him. So like it's really great for speed to lead for like lead generation. But
Mhm.
there's so many different ways to use it. That's been one of the hard reasons or hard things to scaling this business. It's like we haven't niched so far down solving one problem so we can just like super scale up.
Yeah,
Being self-funded, we need revenue coming in every month to pay our bills. We
right,
have to be in the green or the black. We have to be in the black every single month. So yeah, we help companies send authentic handwritten mail for CX and client acquisition, and incredibly proud of this service. We have not taken any shortcuts. We've engineered our own products. We have patents on it. I think we are the only company in this niche that's actually trying to push the product forward versus just being a sales and marketing company trying to make money. We're actually trying to be objectively different
right.
through technology and product. And yeah, yeah. So that's a little bit about Simply Nut.
I love it. And so if they want to go find you, where's your website where they can find you?
It would just be Simply Noted, S as in Sarah, simplynoted.com. And then, or if you guys go to like the landing page right there, you'll see request a sample. We can send you a really nice demo kit. There's a big folio, with a lot of samples in it. Or just reach
Mhm.
out to me on LinkedIn. That's my number one social media like tool. I do get a lot of spam there. Odd or shocker, people spamming you, right? But I try to respond to anything that looks real. So please do reach out. I'm happy to connect. If anybody has questions, I'm happy to help.
I love it. Rick Elmore is the founder of Simply Noted, and thank you for joining us today. And this conversation reminds us that business isn't just about marketing; it's about relationships, it's about trust, it's about human connection. And sometimes the biggest, and mostly the most powerful is the simplest ideas because they are the ones that make the biggest impact. And I am so glad that you came on the show today and you shared your information with us. And I think this is an amazing product, and I really am 100% forward to bringing humanity back into, relationships with companies and, because I think it has a much larger impact than, everything automated. So I love what you're doing. And I thank you so much for being on the show. And I hope you'll come back and we can, dive deeper into other topics because you're an amazing speaker and your knowledge is just through the roof. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Stacey. It's great to be here.
Oh, you're very welcome. You have a great day.
You too.